Before we get into today's video, I just want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere, in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope everybody's had a wonderful week. I hope everybody is doing well. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a very hot topic. I have gotten so many emails about this, you guys, and you're not alone if y'all have been following this situation, because I've been following it too. I have literally been like eyebrows deep in research and down all these different rabbit holes. Whoa. So I'm going to do my best of telling you guys the high notes of this story, because from everything that's out there, this could literally be like a 2-hour long video. Before we get into it though, I just want to let you guys know that don't already know. Hi, my name is Christina. I do have a second channel, which is Casually Christina. We just do things more casually over there. I also have a Patreon. My Patreon's for 18 and up. And over there we talk about more personal stuff. We go live over there. And there is a $2 tier for all the true crime stuff that cannot go onto YouTube due to their terms and policies. That goes over on the $2 tier. Just make sure you read the full about section and what each tier offers before you join. I also am on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and I'm also on Like to Know It now. And Like to Know It is the platform that I post a lot of the links of things that I use, things that you guys ask about, like these earrings, makeup, different stuff like that. Furniture, all different kinds of items that I really enjoy and you guys ask about, I post over on my Like to Know It. I even posted recently this little basket thing that I got on the front of my bike to put my cat in, so when I go bike riding, I can take my cat with me. It is so cute. Anyways, all of those links are linked down in the description box if you would like to come and check me out. And real quick, I wanted to say Happy Mother's Day. Sunday's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there. And a little extra love to everybody that has either lost a child, lost their mother, or has struggled to have their own children. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope you kick your feet up. Hope somebody cooks you your favorite meal and you get to relax or do whatever you want to do. So, all right, let's talk about Mica. Now, again, like I said just a few minutes ago, there's a ton of information out there. I was deep in it, y'all. I'm going to give y'all the highlights. Just let me tell y'all, everything in this video is alleged, except for maybe some of the, reports that I'm going to put up on the video, or some videos that y'all will see. Y'all can decipher those for yourself. Everything in this video is alleged. I don't know any of these people. Everything that I'm going to be talking about, I have pulled from very public sources. So you guys go and do your own research, form your own opinions. I'm not a professional. And let's get into talking about the beautiful Mica Miller. 30-year-old Mica Miller had been living in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina since about 2007. She was originally from Wichita, Kansas, though. She moved there with her mother and her stepfather and her 4 siblings, and Mica was married to a 44-year-old man named John Paul Miller. John Paul Miller, who sometimes goes by JP, is also the pastor at Solid Rock at Market Common Church in Myrtle Beach. According to his claims, John Paul grew up playing piano in churches and in nightclubs. He says that he originally thought that churches were for fake people who acted one way in public and another way behind closed doors. He also went on to claim that one day when he was in his 20s, he gave his life to Jesus. John also allegedly says that he started his first church in 2006 called Solid Rock Ministries, and he started it in a library. He says that his first sermon was only 6 minutes long because he only knew one scripture at the time. His congregation was only his family and a few friends. He said that he was also involved in the music department of churches all across the area before he started his own church, Solid Rock, at Market Common in 2016, where he has indeed been the pastor. John has 5 children from a previous relationship, and he has none with Mica. Mica, who is John's wife and also the pastor's wife, was reported to be the church's creative director. It is also said that Mica started attending this church's youth group service when she was just 14 years old. John was 28 at the time. Mica and John reportedly got married, though, when Mica was 23 years old and John was 37. Now, even though we have this picture that has been painted, and John talks about how he grew up, in the churches, and he thought that people were fake because they acted one way basically in front of others, and then they acted another way behind closed doors. Just stay with me here. And now he's married Mica, who attended the youth service ever since, she was younger in the church, and they got married, and everything looked great, I guess, from the outside. Things were not great between the two of them. According to public records, Mica had filed for divorce on October 8th of last year of 2023. However, it ended up being dismissed on February 12th of this year, 2024, because allegedly, according to this paperwork, the couple indicated that they might have been able to resolve their issues. A prenup had actually been filed between the two of them a year before this dismissal of this divorce on February 12th of 2023. In this dismissal, both Mica and John waived their right to ask for alimony, and that the home that they lived in, which was technically the church's property, would not be included as marital property. They both also agreed not to speak badly about Solid Rock Ministries and to keep their personal lives private, which I think, just from hearing that, sounds very one-sided. He owns the church, he's the pastor, he knows everything that's coming in, nonprofit, and she goes and signs a prenup saying she would get nothing, okay? Strange, right? Public records also show that John filed for a divorce on February 22nd of this year, and the documents indicated that the two of them had been living separately at the time. This filing was also later dismissed, but that's an interesting date because she filed for a divorce in October of 2023. The divorce was dismissed on February 12th, and then 10 days later, he goes and files for a divorce, and then that is later dismissed. And something that is even more strange about this is John, the pastor of his church, had been talking about their marital troubles in his sermons. But he didn't just talk about himself. I mean, he got up on the stage or the pulpit preaching to his church, claiming that Mica, his wife, had mental troubles.
When my wife went in the hospital, I looked at her phone and I counted over the past 2 years, 18 people who had texted her and said, if you ever want to talk about your husband, you can talk to me and say anything and I'll keep it confidential. Why the heck does somebody want to hear what somebody else says about their spouse? And 2 of those 18 were men. One day I'm going to preach about getting rich, strong, healthy, and finding a hot wife that loves Jesus. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just kidding. That was wrong. I told you I shouldn't be here today. I told you. Last year, my wife, they went to Africa, had a wonderful trip, amazing trip. And she came back with the idea to start a school in Africa. And 6 weeks ago, she goes in the hospital, gets out, and just leaves. Just completely leaves me, leaves everything, drains the bank account, and goes. And guess what? While you're talking bad about me out there, I'm building a school in Africa for over 100 kids to be able to be fed. And the elders walked out on me and got so upset about stuff. The city of Myrtle Beach called us, and they said, you guys just won the Best House of Worship Award. #1 church in all of Myrtle Beach. I thought, I didn't even know that. I said, how does that happen? They said, we phone call, we poll people all through the community. We look on social media, we see what people are saying, all these different things. And y'all got first place. Oh, that's so cool. 2 years ago when we started the school and people started giving me all kinds of problems and headache and things behind the scenes that had nothing to do with the school at all, got upset, stabbed me in the back. Myrtle Beach called us again. Guess what? Y'all got Best Church of the Year 2 years in a row. That's amazing. You can't keep me down. You're putting fuel in my plane. And guess who's not going to be in the plane? My enemies. You have to take a taxi if you want to get there. And I pray for you, my enemies. I pray that you come to a place of repentance. I pray that you realize you're not hurting me, you're hurting the kingdom of God. This is the worst sermon I've ever preached my whole life. I can't stand it. I just want to give the altar call and quit now. One day, listen, if you ever want to know what I'm going through in life, it's always about what I'm preaching about. God is so good to do that every single time.
Public records show that Mica had been dealing with a lot from John. According to Mica, she had been involuntarily hospitalized on February 8th of this year. When this happened, she left her car in the Walmart parking lot, according to a police report. When she was discharged from the hospital, Mica was told by the hospital staff that John had picked up her purse and her car keys. After Mica was released, she went back to Walmart and her car was gone. Mica then called the police and reported that her car had been stolen by her husband, John. Now, while speaking with the authorities, Mica told them that she had actually known John since she was 10 years old, and she felt as though she had been groomed by him all the way up until the point when they were married. The officer contacted John, who said that he and Mica were not legally divorced and that she suffered from mental health disorders and that she experienced episodes on an annual basis around Christmas time where she would become like reckless and she would spend these large amounts of money when she would stop taking her prescribed medications. John also said that Mica's car was marital property and he was not willing to give it back to her until at least a month had passed, which is usually how long her reckless episodes lasted. And conveniently for John, he had power of attorney over Mica's health care. The cops decided that Mica and John were still legally married and that they really couldn't force John to give her her car back and that no technical crime had been committed. Mica had talked publicly about having struggles with her mental health, okay? Who hasn't had struggles with their mental health? I think we all have, especially if you've made it through 2020 and beyond. We've all just about lost it couple times, right? But Mica, being somebody who was passionate about helping others and kind and loving and just obviously had a sweet soul, she spoke publicly, and especially when she was ministering to other people, about her struggles with her mental health. At one point, she even talked about struggling with the thoughts of not going on, if you know what I mean. And at least one time we know it was on video where she was speaking to these people while she was doing her ministry work. Now, with everything else that we talked about as far as the involuntarily being hospitalized and the back and forth and John going and getting her car keys and her purse and him refusing to give the car to her and and her speaking to the police, things began to really intensify in March of this year, 2024. Mica reported to the cops that a razor blade was put in her tire. Now, Mica said that this was actually the second time that a razor had caused a flat tire for her in the last week at this point. The officer reported that the metal was actually a tire deflation device that could be bought online. So it wasn't just a nail or a slash, it was an actual tire deflation advice. Whoever Mica accused of doing it was redacted in this report, though. Mica also reported to the officer that she had been noticing strange activity and believed that people were following her or at least watching her. Mica said that the person that she believed was doing this had a history of doing this to her. Investigators, however, stated that the evidence was not enough to prove that the person that she was saying did this did it. So I personally, with my unprofessional opinion, can only assume that the person that she may have been talking about was John, her pastor husband. Now, later that same exact day, a different officer got a call to go to a car dealership where he ended up speaking with Mica there. Mica told this officer that while she was on her way to the dealership, she stopped at a gas station. At this gas station, Mica said that a person pulled up next to her at the pump and began trying to speak to her. She told him to go away, and she said she did not want to talk to this person. And she said that when she pulled out her phone to try to record the incident, that this person just sped off. Mica then went on to tell the officer that when she left the gas station, the person tried to follow her to the dealership. And if this did not sound like, okay, this is a lot going on, did all of this really happen? While the officer was literally standing there with Mica talking about this, Mica got a call from a blocked number, which ended up being the person that she was talking about. The person, okay? According to this officer, the person was advised that Mica did not want anything to do or any more further contact with him, and that if he continued, a warrant may be issued. Now, at this point, Mica told the officer that she was literally afraid for her life, and after the officer left, Mica called him back to tell him that the mechanics that were working on her car, to fix this tire and all of this stuff, literally found a GPS tracking device on her vehicle. About an hour later after this, Mica called back again to tell the officer that she was attempting to get a restraining order against this person. The officer asked if they could meet so he could see the tracking device for himself. Mica said yes, and they met up. As they were talking, the person that they were talking about slowly drove by in Mica's car. The one that was taken? Yeah. Also around this time, Mica had been posting little updates on her Facebook, and she would post little videos. She even posted an emotional video talking about things that had gone on or things going on within marriage, and she offered support to anyone struggling with leaving a dangerous situation because they think that God will be mad at them. Check this out.
I've had a lot of women that have reached out to me about situations of abuse. And I just want to tell you what a lot of people have told me. Male or female, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what gender you are. Abuse is abuse. And you are the bride of Christ. And my Bible says that he took all the abuse you could think of for you so that you didn't have to live that life of slavery and bondage and pain.
Mica went on to file for divorce again on April 15th of this year, 2024. And at this point, it was so clear that things continued to escalate between Mica and John. However, nobody could be prepared for what would happen next. On April 27th of this year, Mica called 911 to report that she was going into this park area and basically that she would not come out the same way that she was going in, and that she wanted her family to know where they could find her and her belongings. Here's the 911 phone call.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Let me see. You don't know where you're at?
At National Park. I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Find my phone is on. I just did my my location.
Okay, I'm showing, hold on one second. Are you at the Lumber River State Park?
Yeah, that's where I am.
Okay. Tell me what's, happened.
I'm about to self, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
Mica was later found at Lumber River State Park in Robeson County, North Carolina. The medical examiner at first was not exactly releasing the COD, but they have since come out and stated that Mica passed from a self-inflicted wound. Since this, the sheriff's office has released a timeline that details everything that Mica did leading up to this 911 phone call. Now, at 11:38 on the morning of April 27th, Mica is seen on her Ring doorbell camera leaving her home. Then about a half an hour later at 12:12 p.m., Mica is seen on surveillance footage walking into Dick's pawn shop. Just 1 minute later at 12:13 p.m., Mica is seen smiling while buying a weapon. From 1:06 p.m. to 1:35 p.m., Mica is seen driving her car on the highway and stopping at a gas station to get gas and a drink. Then at 2:54 p.m., Mica made that call to 911. And by 3:30 p.m., deputies were searching the state park looking for Mica. Now, while they were searching, detectives were approached by a person who said that he found a bag while fishing that had Mica's ID inside of it. This person said that they heard crying and then they heard a loud pow. And I seen, before this came out, before the 911 phone call came out, I saw somebody in comments writing that they were on their fishing boat and that, man, if they could go back and change that day, that they heard what they thought sounded like whimpering or crying in the woods, because this person was fishing in a boat on the water. And he heard the crying sound, and then he heard the loud bang, and then the crying stopped. And I saw the comments wrote, and I thought, you just never know what's real or not. But this person has since come out and spoke, and it sounds like that did happen. He said that when he started talking to the cops and was telling them, they began to question him. They said, whoa, come here, and that's when he told them what he heard. At 4:23 p.m., Mica's body was indeed recovered, and investigators searched Mica's car and found the case to the firearm, and they also found a box of in the center console. Something that I thought was interesting, and maybe more will come out about this later, is allegedly the gun itself was found in the water and the serial number matched the box that was found in Mica's car. Given the circumstances and knowing that John had allegedly been served with divorce papers just 48 hours before all of this happened, investigators immediately wanted to confirm John's whereabouts. They were able to determine that John and the woman that he had allegedly been dating were not in North Carolina the night before or the day of the incident. They say that John traveled to Charleston, South Carolina for a sporting event the day before. Now, this was actually proven, though, through eyewitnesses and license plate readers. Detectives also confirmed that John stayed the night in Charleston, so they knew that he himself could not have been there with Mica when this happened. Mica's family actually met with deputies in North Carolina to discuss their findings, and John at this time allegedly declined to travel to North Carolina to meet with them, but said that they could come to South Carolina. Deputies said that they had no plans to travel to South Carolina. Something that is unbelievably interesting. So y'all have seen earlier in this video a few of his, sermons, is when he found out about his wife's passing, he decided to address his congregation after he did a full sermon. So he goes to church, he gives a full sermon, cracking jokes, just a regular Sunday, even refers to himself as like handsome and charming. And then at the end of the sermon, he decides he's not going to do an altar call on this day, and he is going to have the whole congregation stand up, not say anything as they leave, and listen to what he said.
And your relative says, God, this is amazing. Why would you do this for me? And God says, I love you, but I didn't do this for you. You see, 300 years ago, your great, 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 great grandparents were listening to this tall, charming, humble pastor, and he told them that if they'll give their life to Christ, that God won't just take care of them, he'll take care of the ones that come after him. That's what I want you to leave here with. Okay, amen. We're not going to do an altar call today. Instead, I'm going to have you stand up, and I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building, please, if you can. So y'all can stand to your feet. Before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next little bit. 'Cause I don't want to have. I'm taking a little bit of a break, and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks. I don't know. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away, and it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina, and we're gonna have a funeral for her next Sunday here at 3 p.m. And so it's all I can. Yeah, I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. And she wasn't. Y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed her medicine that was hard to get to her. And so I'm sure there'll be more details to come. But just keep our family in your prayers. And I'm going to let Pastor Randall, my bishop, he can pray. I'll get him a microphone. He'll pray out. And if you have anything you want to share as well.
Micah's family saw that, and they were all but begging for a full investigation to take place into what happened, because they definitely believe that John abused Mica and may have actually been involved one way or another in her passing. In probate court filings from Mica's sister, Sierra, she says that Mica expressed to her that she was living in fear and that she may not make it to this divorce because her life would be taken from her. Sierra said in her filing that it is her belief, based on conversations with her sister Mica, that she told multiple people, including family members, that if I end up with that it was not by me, that it was by JP, John Paul, her husband. Also in this filing, Sierra stated that her and her sister Mica were very close. As a matter of fact, they text each other nearly every single day. Sierra also said that her sister Mica had expressed to her and others, family members, friends, a lot of different people basically, that her husband John was doing all of this stuff to her. So it wasn't just like this all came out of nowhere. Mica had been telling people for a while. Sierra also claimed in the filing that Mica had told her that John had been moving assets, including transferring his stake into the Myrtle Beach piano bar, to his son. This includes back in February when Mica was hospitalized. See, Sierra says that John removed Mica's personal items from their home and allegedly deleted evidence that Mica had been building against John for their divorce from her electronic devices. Sierra says that Mica was not able to access her iCloud account, email, or her Facebook either. So allegedly, again, just to simplify this, allegedly, according to Sierra, when he involuntarily hospitalized his wife and he was able to go and get all of her stuff, he saw all of the evidence that she had been building for when the divorce happened, and he deleted it all. Lastly, Sierra stated in these documents that her sister Mica had talked about what she wanted her life to be like after the divorce. Sierra says that Mica was hoping to participate in church missions and had mentioned wanting to live in Kenya part-time. Apparently, Mica had even shipped some of her personal items to Kenya in preparation for her move there. From the sounds of it, it just did not make sense that Mica would do this. As a matter of fact, I saw some paperwork online that showed that literally on the 26th, the day before Mica's 911 phone call and the incident happened, she paid, I believe it was like her taxes on her car or her registration or something. And it was like, why would she go and pay that And then the following day, everything happened the way that it did. People were just so confused. And Mica's friends and family, just none of it making any sense, and them being obviously so hurt and distraught, they went and actually held a rally out in front of Solid Rock Church asking for justice for Mica.
What do we want? Justice for Mica! When do we want it? Now!
And Mica's family has also held a memorial service for Mica, and at the same time, John held a memorial service for Mica as well. Now, strangely, a police report has recently come out that shows that John allegedly tried to get into Mica's apartment 3 days after she passed. The leasing manager, however, shout out to that person, did not let him in because they knew that Mica did not like him and did not want him in there. Now, as you guys can imagine, the internet is doing its thing. And when I say people are suspicious of everything, that is truly an understatement. Even with the coroner coming out and giving an official statement, or official statement was released saying that according to their findings that Mica did this to herself, people are suspicious. And let's talk about just some of the reasons why, okay? As I mentioned earlier, John has been reported to be dating someone, okay? Her name is Susie Skinner, allegedly. For entertainment purposes only, go do your own research, form your own opinions. Now, allegedly, this Susie was married to a man named Chris. And this guy, Chris, was actually in a wheelchair after an accident that had ended up leaving him paralyzed. Well, in 2021, apparently, Chris was in yet another accident where allegedly his wheelchair got too close to a pool and he fell in and nobody was around to save him. And so he unfortunately passed away. John conducted his funeral. It, could be a weird coinky dink. However, I mean, it seems a little weird, right? It's something that people are talking about. It's also been reported that John exchanged very flirty text messages with a waitress, or I believe she was a bartender, right before and after Mica's passing. This waitress has actually shared a receipt that she allegedly got from John that included a $20 tip and his phone number. Now, this waitress ended up texting John, and this is a portion of their conversation where he says, "I'm trying. I think I need a bikini pic of you." And she said, "LOL, I don't know if I really have any." And then he says, "Come on. Okay, no bikini, wink." She says, "LOL, I think most of the time when I'm in a swimsuit, I'm also in a mermaid tail." And he says, "Are any of my pics going through?" She said, "Nope." He said, "Do you have one with just the mermaid tail?" And she says, "Ha ha ha, I don't think I do, actually." And he says, "Give me something. I'm still trying to send pics." Then later in the conversation is where he tells her exactly what he does and then sends a video of one of his sermons. Can you imagine? Now, you take those text messages however you want to take them. But something that I find a little strange, and you guys can do your own research and judge for yourselves, is this young lady that had these interactions with him has since come out and done an interview with, I believe it's News Nation, and she said that he actually texted her even after Mica's passing, and it was very strange. Listen to this.
Let's just get right to it. You most recently texted him after you heard his wife was dead. What surprised you about his response?
Honestly, it didn't really surprise me all that much. I kind of suspected that it wasn't going to be what you would expect from a grieving husband.
What did he say?
I asked him if anything was new, and he more or less said, "Yes, lots new, LOL. I'll text later."
Now, if all of that isn't just giving you the ick already, along with the sermons that we've heard, an email from John to Mica has since been released. Let me read some of it to you because, in my opinion, it kind of gives a little glimpse of how he spoke to Mica. Mind you, the subject line says divorce. "Hey, Mica, I hope you are doing well. I'm ready to be done and move on and heal and find a first lady who won't treat me the way you are. I really hope you do great things. I was willing to do anything. I even had the amazing desire to have kids since you're not on meds. And I want to apologize for the flowers and fruit. It was already paid for to last until your birthday. Feel free to give it all away. I sent that to you before I found out all of the things that I have recently found out about you and what you've done, and you disgust me. So please, let's meet soon and be divorced and let this nightmare be over for me. I'm enjoying all the African missions and Pastor Jumba, and all the pastors' wives are so excited for what we're doing. We expect 120 kids our first semester. I have about 10 to 12 people going this time, including Kristen and Tom Winslow and Becca and Jonathan, etc. And I need to move on ASAP. I need a woman who will respect me, love me, and be worthy of all that being a first lady is about. I mean, we could just go through line. I could just do a separate video and we could just dissect that email. But the most hurtful part probably to Mica is the fact that that was her desire, was doing this school, and she worked with children and loving working with children, and he was just jabbing her every which way.
Last year, my wife, they went to Africa, had a wonderful trip, amazing trip, and she came back with the idea to start a school in Africa. And 6 weeks ago, she goes in the hospital, gets out, and just leaves. Just completely leaves me, leaves everything, drains the bank account, and goes. And guess what? While you're talking bad about me out there, I'm building a school in Africa for over 100 kids to be able to be fed.
But let's move on to John's alleged criminal history. And it doesn't shine the best light on him either. And just gonna throw this out there. I ain't the one to talk. Y'all already know. I've been in trouble myself too. But since we're flowing down this pattern, let's talk about that. In 1997, a prosecutor dropped a case against John after negotiating an outcome. One of the charges included contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and in April of 2000, John was found guilty of aggravated assault with a weapon and knowingly causing property damage in excess of $300. In February of 2008, charges of DA were charged but never prosecuted for one reason or another. Some people suspect that these charges didn't make it through, kind of like how the divorce never made it through. Something was just holding something back. Interesting, though, on top of all that, allegedly, again, I don't know any of these people, go do your own research, John's father has been involved in quite the controversies himself. In 2014, Reginald Miller, John's father, who founded the Cathedral Bible College, pled guilty in federal court to felony charges related to his treatment of international students who came to Myrtle Beach College to earn their degrees. Reginald has also been accused of something to do with S's. And allegedly, whatever those S type of charges were, ended up forcing him to move his ministry from Florence to Myrtle Beach. Reginald was actually once the leader of South Carolina's largest churches, and he was a leading spokesman for the movement, which emphasized speaking in tongues, prophecy, faith, and healing. An announcement from John's church has been made that he has been released from his functions for a time of healing, for a time of counsel and guidance, and the church's website that he has started and everything has since been suspended. And there's people that believe that the reason why is so the public doesn't go and leave a bunch of reviews on what kind of pastor they think he is. Now, pastor. As far as my opinions I think you guys know my opinions on most of this. This just is his sermons. First of all, I don't know how people sat through them. God bless everybody that went to that church. I pray that they go and find a real church, somebody that really loves the Lord. Everybody's imperfect. Everybody makes mistakes, bad choices, even the pastors. But there's a little something different about this guy, in my opinion. And other people, too. Listen, just because people hold a Bible and stand on a pulpit doesn't mean they know God. I mean, that's not for me to judge. And just because you are homeless on the side of the road with a cup asking for change doesn't mean that you don't know the Lord. There are people that have been sitting in church for 30 years, their whole entire lives, going through the motions because it's what they've always done, and they have no idea who the Lord really is. And somebody like who this guy seems to be, I don't know him, seems very scary, actually, that he has been doing these things and had the kind of power and control that he has and the money coming in. I think everything needs to be examined with a fine-tooth comb. I hope that Mica's family gets the justice that they're looking for. I don't know if I think that somebody else was there with her in the woods that day, but I believe with my whole heart that somebody took advantage of a vulnerable person who was broken, and every time she tried to stand back up, knocked her back down, and knew that this could possibly be an outcome because of struggles that she had before. And it's just terrible, heartbreaking, awful. And to get up there and preach that sermon afterwards and to even speak about her in that way and say she had mental issues and just so casual and nonchalant, I can't wrap my mind around it. It is horrifying. So I am going to follow this and obviously see if anything else comes out. Again, I hope that Mica's family gets everything that they need for their hearts, for their closure, for themselves. And I think that things need to be looked into. What do you think? Y'all let me know what y'all think down below. Other than that, I love you guys. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. I hope y'all have a happy Mother's Day. And yeah, love you guys. See y'all in the next video. Bye.